Okay, let's go over the review for the test tomorrow. It'll be very similar to this. Same number of questions almost. Same type of questions front and back. So first part. Um, know all the different types of slope. There's 4 total. There's only 3 here. Okay. So first we got to know that you might remember from the skiing, we have puff puff positive, we have nice negative, we have zero fun, and you have undefined straight down. So there's positive, negative, zero, and then undefined. Okay. So we want to be able to look at any line and think of the sign before anything else. So here we have definitely an undefined. Okay. And then here we know it's going to be positive. Here we know it's going to be negative. Okay. And we usually denote slope by using m equals. So we'll say m equals, and m equals. Okay, negative something. Now you guys have to figure out, remember, it's the slope is the rise over the run. Okay, so up how many and right how many. So rise is on top, run is on the bottom. So here you can see the rise is negative, that's why it's a negative slope. So it's going to be 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so negative 3 over 6, but make sure you reduce that. So anytime it can be reduced, it should be reduced. And of course, since it's going down, we know it's going to be negative. Okay, the next day, we did the same idea, but find a slope using a table. So we're still finding rise over run, our m equals. Okay, but instead of looking at the graph, we're just saying, well, how far is it from 3 to negative 1? The easy way of looking at this is if it's 3 degrees and it drops down to negative 1, what's the change? Okay, so from 3 degrees to negative 1 degrees, it went down 4. And from 2 degrees to negative 5 degrees, that went down 7. So we have negative 4 for the rise, because that's the y, over negative 7. And as always, if it can be reduced, you got to reduce it. In this case, it could be simplified. Negative over negative is positive. Okay, so just use m equals and always reduce your fractions. Okay, and then yet the third day we looked at another way of doing the same thing. We said, well, what's another way of getting negative 4, finding out how far apart two numbers are? And another way of doing that is finding the difference. So yet another way of doing this is taking the two y's, we call them maybe y2 and y1, and subtract them. And then on the bottom, we'll have x2 and x1. Now give us the same values as if we were using a table. So let's do one together on number 8. So we'll have m equals, okay, and I like to put these parentheses here just so I avoid making mistakes with negatives. Okay, remember y's go on top, so we got negative 2 and we got 3. So negative 2 and 3. And then on the bottom we'll have 4 and 10. Okay, and then go ahead and simplify. So negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. And 4 minus 10 is negative 6. Can that be reduced? Yes, it can. Negative over negative simplifies. So our final answer is just 5, 6. Now, of course, if you switch these 2 points and you move the 3 over here and negative 2 over here, and on the bottom move the 10 and the 4, you get the same answer. if we try to do this using the table, we'll get the same answer as well. So remember, all these methods on the front give us the same answer. Okay? It's the same question if you look at it. Find the slope on all these. Find the slope, find the slope. So we're all doing the same thing, but just a little bit different. Okay? All right, let's go flip it over to the back. Just do the review. So usually we have, we like to have things in slope-intercept form, which is y equals the slope times x, and then plus the y-intercept. Okay. So right here, usually in front of the x, if there is an x, that's the slope. So we got a slope of 1/3. And then after the x, or the number by itself, that's the y-intercept, or starting point. So we just start there, -1, and then use our slope. In this case, it's up 1, right 3. Up 1, right 3, and do it a few times, just like that. Your point should be on a nice straight line, and definitely use your straight edge. Go across the entire graph. Now there are a few variations. Of course, you see how most of these are always y equals, but number 12 is x equals. Went over that a couple days now this week. Just remember x equals, you start on the x-axis at this number, -2. So one at a time you start on the x-axis. And then this doesn't follow slope or y-intercept, because it doesn't have either one of those. There is no slope because it's undefined. Okay? And there is no y-intercept either. You just leave that blank or just put an x. Okay? So this is a vertical line going through -2. Also remember, like, if there's a number missing, like here, there is no y-intercept. We got a value in front of an x, but there's no b, so we know that's like +0. Start at the origin in the middle. And even if the order switched around like it is here, the slope is still the number in front of x. Now, what number is in front of x on number 14? Okay, be careful, it's not 2, it's -2. So if we rewrote this in the proper format, it'd be y equals -2x plus 4, okay, which of course is the same as -2/1. So slope is -2/1, y-intercept is 4. A few things, let's see, you already know this is going to be going down because it's a negative slope. You already know what it looks like. Okay, go ahead and graph that. 15 also has one of those exceptions that you see it's y equals, but there is no x. So the way to rewrite this would be y equals 0x plus 3. So we have a y-intercept of 3, but the slope is 0. And the 0 can be 0 over anything. I could just say 4. Doesn't matter. And you can use that to get your slope. You might already know what that looks like. Good. Let's go down to the last part where we've been practicing this week. So remember, you're trying to get into that form y equals mx plus b. And let's go ahead and let's do the last one together. So remember, we're trying to get this by itself. So in order to get this by itself, we have to get rid of everything else. So first I'm going to get rid of a -3x, and then the +2. So first get rid of -3x, add 3x, both sides. Okay. Left-hand side, that equals 0, -3 plus 3. Bring down everything else, 2y equals 3x plus 6. Now go ahead and get rid of the positive 2 by dividing by the same number, 2. 2 over 2 equals 1. And now we have y equals 3 over 2. Remember, divide both of them. 3 over 2. And then 6 over 2, which is 3. Our final answer is y equals 3 over 2x plus 3. And then go ahead and graph it. Alright, hopefully that gets you started and use the rest of the period to finish. Remember, it's a shorter day. Work with each other, get it all finished before you leave, and then study when you go home so you're ready for that test tomorrow. And I will be collecting all homeworks tomorrow as well. Good luck.